You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
Alright, it's Jessie! How y'all doing out there today? You know I miss you when we're not talking. What, you don't believe me? I promise I miss you. And I start my show prep ages early to make sure I bring you the best of what's going on. Now, just as a reminder, I'm here coming to you from KLRN Radio, but I am logged into my Twitter account at Jessies POV. So you can always shoot me a message during the show, at Jessies POV. Now, for those of you old school folks, feel free to send me an email, jessiespov@klrnradio.com. Please, I look forward to your feedback, your comments. I love them. And I'm working on prepping several things to drop tomorrow because there's been so much in North Korea and I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to hear my shows. You're going to get some, as I like to call them, bonus plays tomorrow and a new one. Oh, yeah, I got a new Saturday Slowdown. Justin Kinney and I remember, he was on my show Wednesday night. He's the psychology/terrorism expert. What better friend to have in a time like this than a psychology and terrorism expert? Come on, folks. So, Justin joined me today, and we recorded a special Saturday Slowdown for you. Yeah, that's where for those of you who are new listeners, that's where we take the time, we focus on one or two things, and we talk until there's nothing left to talk about on that topic. And then we end the show. There's a couple of commercial breaks, not a whole lot, but there's a few. So, but we took, this time it was the psychology of what the most recent strikes, i.e. Syria, and then, of course, our good friend Moab, mother of all bombs. Oh, yes. Moab was unleashed for the first time ever yesterday. And I think it had some outstanding results. Oh, yes, it did. Now, what is North Korea waiting on? Why haven't they done whatever big bad thing they have been promising? Now, first of all, I will say it is 9:30 in the morning, so things may happen yet. They may happen while either Robinson and Wright is on the air, in which case I'm pretty sure they'll tell you about it, or even after we all go to bed for the night. I would not put that past Pyongyang, and of course we know while it is 10:09 in Seoul, it is 9:39 in Pyongyang, because Pyongyang, good old quackers, well actually it was started by one of his family members previously, refuses to have anything to do with Seoul, including the same time zone. I'm sorry, folks. That is just two quackers for your host. Oh, yes, that is quackers. All right. I am mostly going to focus on North and South Korea, but I do have a couple other things I want to touch on. Let's get those out of the way so I don't forget to do them. Oh, and don't forget to sign up for our KLRN Radio newsletter. There's a link on almost every page on the website, except the homepage. Maybe we'll get a link to the sign-up page there, too. No telling. Got to talk to somebody on that website lately anyway. So, Secretary of Defense Mattis, yes, good old Mad Dog Mattis, is running off to the Middle East and Africa next week. This will be his 4th trip. Yes, 4. And we are how many days into this presidency? And Mad Dog is running off on trip number 4. He's been busy. He's been a busy beaver. So Mad Dog is going to go to Saudi Arabia, and then Egypt, Israel, Qatar, and Djibouti. Haven't figured out what about the Djibouti ones. The rest are pretty much self-explanatory, but he's stopping by Djibouti too. I'm sure there'll be some press availabilities, and we'll get some cool clips. Now, let's get back to all the craziness that's been going on this week. Oh, and yes, here's my show prep. There it is. You heard it. So, here's some of the calmer things. U.S. Air Force F-35A Lightning II fighter aircraft is going to Europe, but they're going for training. So the aircraft are scheduled to conduct training with other U.S. and NATO aircraft in Europe for several weeks as part of the Operation European Assurance Initiative. You know, we've been trying to reassure Europe that we're with NATO. I mean, come on, why do you think Hans Stoltenberg was in the White House the other day, folks? So Trump could pat him on the back and say, we're here for you, calm down, it's not obsolete anymore, you added terrorism, calm down, that was my problem. Now if we could just get everybody to commit 2% of their gross domestic product to GDP to NATO, then to their defense, then NATO could actually function, folks. Yes, there are a lot of countries that have been, well, quite frankly, behind on their commitment. And they always look to the U.S. to pick up the slack. But Trump has said that
that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
He said that's not how it works. He said, we're not going to put up with that anymore. You need to get on the ball, folks. All right. So we got the F-35A going to Europe. Now this article came across I originally found it on my Twitter feed and had to pull it. Because you know I cover military and international news. Well, dear old White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, and this is news to me, but reported to the Pentagon Friday to fulfill his Naval Reserve duty. Yes, I did not know Spicer was a member of the Naval Reserve. But guess he is. Anchors away there, Sean. Spicer reported to fulfill his duty to the Joint Chiefs of Staff offices. And he has the rank of Commander, which I believe is 04, if you're looking at the pay scale. And I will double check that for you just 1 second. So, but yeah, how many of you knew that Sean Spicer was a member of the Naval Reserve? So, yes. So, excuse me, I stand corrected. Let me get that pulled up. We are looking for the U.S. Navy. Excuse me, Commander is 05. That is the equivalent of a lieutenant colonel for those of you more familiar with the Army ranks. That is the equivalent to a light bird. 06 will be the next one, would be captain. And that would be the equivalent to a full bird. In fact, they use the same bird insignia, folks. I find that interesting and fascinating. You know me, I always come up with the craziest tidbits, everything from us giving North Korea a fax machine to Sean Spicer being in the Naval Reserve. So, moving right along. And Sean, I thank you for your service. Moving right along, let's talk Russia and Syria. Good grief, guys, you're driving me batty. You are just making yourselves look stupid. Okay, first of all, Syria. Nikki Haley, our ambassador to the United Nations. Thank you, Nikki Haley. You are usually outstanding and well put together, well spoken, and I enjoy using you as audio clips frequently. But I have to say, she has been a breath of fresh air. And she has minced no words on the floor of the UN Security Council. And if you recall, Russia was supposed to remove all the chemical weapons from Syria. So, were they incompetent or complicit? Oh, yes. Who knows? Now, let's see if I can get this queued up for you just in time. Let's take a brief listen to some of her comments. We don't have time to play them all because, as you know, folks, those UN ambassadors, they love to expound. But we'll take a listen to at least part of what she has to say.
Now, making comments on Russia as the Security Council considers a resolution condemning the chemical.
Give me just a moment.
Listen in.
Again, terrorized his own people with one of the world's most horrific weapons. Assad's murderous attack shook every one of us to our core. It once again showed the world that Assad is not a partner for peace. It showed what happens when Assad's allies, Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, decide to lend their support to a barbaric regime instead of joining the world to stop it. When Assad's planes dropped chemical weapons, his regime violated a resolution from this very council and the Chemical Weapons Convention. Assad mocked every assurance the Russians gave us that there were no chemical weapons in Syria. The United States was compelled to act. We will not allow the use of chemical weapons to go unanswered. We are not going to look the other way. We are watching the regime's actions carefully. To my colleagues from Russia, you are isolating yourselves from the international community every time one of Assad's planes drop another barrel bomb on civilians, and every time Assad tries to starve another community to death.
I think those were words well spoken. Thank you very much, Miss Haley. You are outstanding as always, and you are such a breath of fresh air. And no, I don't have an air sound effects, folks. You know my soundboard's just a wee bit limited. But I'm sorry, Assad using all kinds of crap to bomb his own people is just plain wrong. And it needs to be just bounced on out of there. So, what's that, Host Kitty? What was that? Oh, that's what Host Kitty had to say about Assad bombing his own people and starving them and gassing them. Host Kitty doesn't like that very much, I'd have to say. He does occasionally wake up from his kitty naps and decide to chime in. What can I say there? Alright, so then what just cracks me up? Okay, Assad did it. Point blank. Assad did it. Now, then he comes out and says that we are trying to frame him. And that, who knows, there's many fake videos out there. Now, we will be covering our little scorecard in just a moment. So, don't worry. And we can never forget about China's own real-world version of Minecraft, can we? Not a chance. So, what's been going on in the South China Sea? Oh me, oh my, oh dear, oh dear. Well, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte canceled a visit to the South China Sea because Beijing told him to back down. Oh, yes. And he values his friendship with China. So China said, don't go. And he said, okay. Pushover. You are letting another country tell you what to do. I'm sorry. So, then of course, for those of you who don't recall, what China did, they literally dredged up sea floor and created islands out of nothing in the middle of the South China Sea so that they could claim, guess what? More ocean. Because South China Sea, they want it to be all theirs. No, you can't have any, because they want the economic rights and everything else. Now, there are other countries that happen to have claims in that territory. They include Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and of course the Philippines. But of course the Philippines seems to be quite the pushover right now, so they'll probably just go yes sir, 3 bags full. And the Spratly Islands are very much disputed. So what does China come in? Though China comes right on in and says, oh, you don't think we have a claim? Fine, we'll build islands and claim them as ours, and then we will militarize them. Yes, they have put military aircraft hangars, bunkers, missile silos. And then they come back and say, oh, it's just for defensive postures. Defending against who? The local great white shark? Doesn't wash with me. Now, the U.S. military, again, thank you, United States Navy, has been routinely conducting freedom of navigation exercises in the area in an attempt to brush China back lightly. However, we don't know where that will end. But I gotta say, Trump has taken the handcuffs off. Yes. You don't remember him saying that? Well, I happen to have that for you right here. Now, the audio clip wasn't the best because it was taken during a photo op. So you hear lots of shutters and clicking and clacking. He wasn't at a microphone, so I had to amplify it. So it's a little but we're going to listen anyway.
And what I do is I authorize my military. We have the greatest military in the world, and they've done a job as usual. So we have given them total authorization, and that's what they're doing. And frankly, that's why they've been so successful lately. If you look at what's happened over the last 8 weeks and compare that to what's happened over the last 8 years, you'll see there's a tremendous difference. So we have incredible leaders in the military, and we have incredible military, and we are very proud of them, and this was another very, very successful mission.
All right, so Trump does not micromanage his military, and I think it is a great thing he does not micromanage his military. Very little good can come out of micromanaging. So, if you guys hear any noise in the background, I have Dan Wright of Robinson and Wright actually live sitting here in the studio with me tonight because I am teaching him how to produce. And he doesn't understand my microphone settings are trained to block out most of background noises. But if you hear a chair creak or somebody walking around a little bit, it's just Dan trying to get comfortable while he watches me do my show and tries to learn a thing or two. But I might be moving a little fast for him, making more questions than answers. But he and I will sort those out after I get off the air. Because guess who is producing Robinson and Wright tonight? Yes, good old Dan. He is going to produce his first show live. Now, I'll be sitting next to him, helping him get all the buttons in the right order. So, let's see if we got a couple more stories before we get to the commercial break. I love it how Sirius says, I want an independent investigation. And then they have Russia, dear big brother Russia, veto. Because remember, Russia is a permanent member of the UN Security Council, so they have dear big brother Russia block the resolution. Now, folks, if they truly wanted an independent investigation, they would not be blocking the resolution. Now, here is part of the response Russia had when we bombed Syria. They claimed we violated international law. Let's take just a brief listen.
On the night of the 7th of April, the United States attacked the territory of sovereign Syria. We describe that attack as a flagrant violation of international law and an act of aggression. We strongly condemn the illegitimate actions by the U.S. The consequences of this for regional and international stability could be extremely serious. This attack was a flagrant violation of the 2015 memorandum on preventing incidents and ensuring security during air operations in Syrian airspace, and the Ministry of Defense of Russia has stopped its cooperation with Pentagon under that memorandum.
So, they said we violated international law by lobbing 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles, sounding a bit like this, into Syria. Now, might I remind you folks, we launched those strikes at 4:30 in the morning to do our best to limit casualties. And last report I heard, now I haven't checked too carefully, but I will say the last report I heard, there were a total of 10, folks. 10. 6 civilian, 4 military. Yep. 10 casualties, 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles. I will take those odds any day, folks. And Syria is claiming that the chemical attacks are a hoax. Really? Assad, I haven't come up with your audio clip yet, but I promised you, you're crazy and you're gonna get something. I can't use quackers because I already got that one, but I'm gonna have to get you a sound effect because you're sounding as crazy as everything else. You are definitely sounding like something goofy. I haven't come up with a good one yet, but I will. If any of you have a good idea for a sound effect for Assad, who I think is sitting around doing this half the time, be sure and let me know, and I will happily add it to my list of suggestions. Like I said, duck's already taken. So, why? We are just a minute away from our commercial break, so I'm not going to start why we use the Moab. But in China, its government is encouraging its citizens to report foreigners. If you happen to be an expat living in Beijing, you better watch out. After previous campaigns reminding the public to be aware of foreign espionage around them, the Beijing Municipal National Security Bureau now offers cash to people who help report foreign spies, a strategy which may be driven by China's concerns over foreign exploitation and a need to tighten control, is raising alarms among experts who say the practice will only add to the government's growing distrust of foreigners. Because remember, they've kicked out NGOs. NGO? You don't know what that means? Non-governmental agency. It's usually your do-gooders. The Red Cross, Red Crescent, same organization, different symbol. Doctors Without Borders, and those kinds of nice folks. Trying to lend a helping hand. So they kicked out all the NGOs, or most of the NGOs, and they're now training the kids to rat out quote-unquote spies, which may be nothing more than someone going about their daily lives. The legislation brings into sharp focus a cultural suspicion of outsiders that has existed throughout China, and China through its history. China has always been wary of foreigners seeking to take advantage of or undermine their society. The Chinese have long perceived relationships with foreigners as both opportunities and threats. For example, Britain's opium trade with the Qing dynasty, which led to millions of Chinese opium addicts and 2 opium wars, was often seen by China as an exploitation of the Chinese market at a time of weakness. So this goes back to the 1800s, folks. This is not a new xenophobic fear. Okay? It's not. And there is always something going on. So, we are going to run on off to our commercial break, and I will see you on the other side. Because we got to pay those bills, folks. Yes, I got to pay those bills. And just as a reminder, you can always find me on Twitter at Jessies POV, at KLRNRadio and KLRNRadio.com.
Everything is great.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
All right, thank you for hanging in there with me over that commercial break. Now, I realized on the way out I was a little bit tongue-tied. Gotta untwist this tongue a little bit, folks. I'm on Twitter at Jessies POV, and my email is jessiespov@KLRNradio. All right, let's straighten that out before I run along. Oh, and yes, it's still no account, Dan. So he's sitting here glaring at me. Now, I did just do a little bit of research while we were on break. There is a military parade in the heart of Pyongyang underway, where the North Koreans are expected to show off their latest arsenal. Now, the celebration marks the birth in 1912 of Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un's grandfather. So, Kim Jong-un, or Kim the Younger, or Quackers, is the third generation of the Kim family. Now, North Korea does not generally like to have foreigners. Please, folks, please, I cannot stress this enough. Take Tehran, Damascus, and Pyongyang. In other words, North Korea, Syria, and Iran off your tourist wish list. These are not places people should be going. I'm sorry. I understand there's a lot going on. I'm sorry. Now, don't forget, Kim Jong-un announced in his New Year's message that his country was close to testing an ICBM. Now, some of his shorter-range missiles have landed in the sea, but we're talking less than 200 miles, which from missile range, folks, that ain't far, off the coast of Japan. Yes, 200 miles is not far in missile speak. Now, China has said, North America, hold it together, we'll get them, we'll settle them down. I don't know how much Trump's going to listen to that, but we'll find out. And Trump tweeted out on the 11th of April, North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them. So the military parade and the singing and dancing kids, that is all standard operating procedure in North Korea. And remember, as a tourist or a journalist there, you see what your North Korean handlers want you to see. You can't just walk up to people and start talking to them. And don't forget, the Pyongyang pooches are all the pampered ones in North Korea. Now, just as a reminder, folks, let's talk North Korea for a minute. North Korea, in your host's opinion, killed Kim Jong-nam, Kim Jong-un's half-brother. They have recently ordered 25% of Pyongyang evacuated. According to one of my favorite websites and think tanks that specializes in North Korea, 38 North. Oh, yes. And that website is down. Everybody's been on it. So, 38 North appears to be down, folks. But according to 38 North, Pyongyang is ready for a missile test any day. Or no, a nuclear test any day. Because remember, they use tunnels. So we don't have anybody we can talk to. We can't just call them up and say, "Hey, quackers. Yeah, you. When are you doing your nuke test?" He's not going to tell us. But we can watch satellite imagery and watch how the area changes. So, and that's what these people do. And I have to admit, everybody must be hitting 38 North pretty hard because I have never seen them down. I have been accessing them for ages, never had a problem until this very night. Alright, so, these festivities in North Korea, they're not just a one-day, oh, let's celebrate. There's lead-up events, kind of like the inauguration. There was this the day before, and this 2 days before, and this the morning of, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, kind of like that. So, there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony for Ramyang Street. It was a residential high-rise project, which, according to North Korean state media, was personally, oh yes, personally, overseen by Kim Jong-un. Thousands strong waited for hours until Kim arrived and then roared. He stood on a red-carpeted stage, framed by the street's pastel-colored edifices of tile and glass. Then he said, "The completion of this street is more powerful than 100. Actually, Prime Minister Pak Pong-ju said in his speech, "The completion of this street is more powerful than 100 nuclear warheads." I'm sorry, it only takes one to take out that street. What they're trying to say, folks, is our economy is growing. We're growing. You can sanction us from here to doomsday. We are still going to grow. No, what they do is they only feed the people in Pyongyang. I have read and listened and watched and talked to, some personally, some distantly through intermediaries. I have studied everything I can find on this hermit kingdom. And North Korean defectors have said, some of the ones that live in more rural areas, we get electricity a couple days a year. So they probably have electricity today, so they're probably loving the day of the sun, because they can actually turn on the lights inside their house. What, you didn't know there were parts of North Korea without electricity? Have you never pulled up a nighttime satellite image of North Korea? Remember, I've told you folks time and time again, North Korea doesn't have electricity to spare, so if the lights are on at the nuclear reactor, it's running. Come on, folks. If you have not pulled up a satellite image of Korea at night, and just use Korea, it'll show a wonderful contrast between north and south. In the south, tons of lights. Lots of them. In the north, nothing. And then a big dot in the middle of Pyongyang, and then a few little tiny sprinkles of lights around the north. But they're not much, they're not strong, and they're not that bright. It is quite the contrast. Now, just as a reminder, as journalists covering North Korea, It is a tightly controlled trip. Every journalist is assigned a North Korean government minder, is not permitted to conduct independent interviews or leave the hotel alone. So, you can't corroborate anything that they're saying. You're given the information they want you to have. Of course, the North Korean experts say that the North Korean economy is growing. They say that Kim tacitly approves of simple commerce, and that this is alone beginning to transform the staunch communist state. In other words, the North Korean government was tired of its people starving to death and dying. So they do allow a tiny, albeit teeny tiny, bit of capitalism. You can set up a little stand selling your fruits and vegetables or a baked good or two. But you can't do much more than the bake sale level, but you can do something. So, now, Kim Jong-un, he's gotten crankier, even crankier than some of his father. In North Korea, do you know the penalty for watching a non-state sanctioned television program? Do you? You want to guess? There's only one real penalty in North Korea. It's a capital offense, folks. Yes, you are executed. And they don't just execute the guilty person. No. 4 generations of the family can be executed. Now, in an interview, Vice Minister Han Song-rul said Pyongyang has determined the Trump administration is more vicious and more aggressive than that of Barack Obama. And he said that because of that, North Korea is going to build up its nuclear arsenal in quality and quantity. Hey guys, have you even figured out how to do this yet? We know you can make the nuclear bomb. We know you can make a missile, but believe you me, it takes a very special scientist with a very special fire set to make that thing go boom in just the right way. Otherwise, you're going to kill your citizens. But I have a feeling North Korea don't care. However, I must reluctantly admit that many experts believe at its current pace of testing, North Korea could reach that potentially game-changing milestone of an ICBM that can reach the U.S. mainland in the next 18 months. No, I'm not kidding. 18 months to 2 years is what most estimates say. So they're getting there, and boy howdy, when that happens, I don't know that we're going to wait or talk to anybody. Now, Kim Jong-un, of course, is saying, we're going to do what we want. Oh yes, Kim Jong-un is bound and determined to do whatever he wants. However, Trump, yes, more appropriately Mad Dog Mattis under Trump's direction, is determined to do a little bit of this as they fly planes in the area. Now, they don't cross into North Korea territory, but that doesn't stop them from flying right up to the edge and using some outstanding technology to get a look deeper into the country. Then, of course, you've always got the eye in the sky, the satellite. Military experts have generally agreed that a shooting war with North Korea would likely be far more costly than something along the lines of the recent targeted strike that Trump ordered against Syria. That attack that alarmed the North was condemned as unpardonable by Pyongyang. Hey, quackers. Yeah, you. Got your attention yet, quackers? I don't care what you think. Even without nuclear weapons, the North could cause severe damage with its conventional artillery batteries, which are aimed at Seoul, South Korea. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the layout of the territory, Seoul, South Korea is approximately 35 miles from the demilitarized zone, commonly referred to as the DMZ. Now, I know of one, and only one, safe place to cross into North Korea as a tourist and come home in 5 minutes and be happy and have your photos. and that is on a USO-sponsored tour to the DMZ, and you would be inside the MAC building, otherwise known as the Military Armistice Commission. And I think that's the only place I will ever cross into North Korea. So, like I said, it's not so much the nukes and the missiles that we're worried about. They do have the 1.2 billion man force or million man force. They've got one of the largest armies in the world. And the last thing we want is them to decide to race across the DMZ. Now, just to remind everybody, let's start back in Syria, and bear with me a minute, I will make my point. Bashar al-Assad in Syria is being propped up by Russia and Iran. Iran lets Syria use their air bases, and what else does Iran do? What else? Oh, Iran trades missile technology and possibly nuclear technology with none other than quackers! Yes, North Korea. Been there, done that, going again. Well, the reason I brought up that military parade, by the way, yes, it's a nice dog and pony show by the North, but our intel analysts actually mine that little dog and pony show for hints of things. I mean, if they're showing off a real missile, we can learn something. If showing off a plane, we might learn a thing or two about what they got. So while these things that North Korea has may be fake, may be real, our analysts can usually tell. However, I will say that I disagree with YouTube pulling North Korea's official channel, because it was a boon to our intelligence network. And no, we didn't. We realized, most people that actually bothered to watch it realized it was somewhat inappropriate, very much slandered, and all propaganda. But from what I've heard, intelligence officers have gathered reams of data off even one or two videos. So, YouTube, thank you for killing another source of intel. Alright. I am about out of time, but I got a couple other stories I want to touch on. Remember, and I'm still staying in the Asian region. So, Japan. We have forces stationed in Japan. They are not always, they carry their firearms, but a lot of times, empty rounds, nothing. Oh yes, empty. Well, that changed. And that changed today, folks. Japanese lawmakers have ratified agreements to provide U.S., British, and Australian forces with ammunition in combat zones. Japanese's upper house of parliament passed the acquisition and cross-service agreements this week. The ACSA is an accord that allows for an exchange of not only ammunition but also goods and transportation services across bilateral alliances or partnerships with the other three countries. Yes, the new agreement amends existing Japanese deals in the United States and Australia, and covers the recently signed ASCA with Britain. So, Japan, you have now signed a treaty with us that we can have ammunition. And I think that is a good thing. Alright, I know I'm almost out of here. So, and I thank you, Japan, for doing that. And just as a reminder, folks, reunifying North Korea, there actually are some Koreans who are against it. What? You didn't know that? Why could they possibly be against reunification? One simple answer. economy. What happened when East and West Germany reunified suddenly? The economy went straight, and I do mean straight for the toilet like a rocket sled on rails. And while the South would gain access to the resources in North Korea, we don't know if North Korea will agree. So, trying to predict and assess the uncertainty of this nation is very challenging. Alright, folks, I'm going to get on out of here tonight. Just as a reminder, you can find me on Twitter at Jessies POV. You can find the KLRN Radio show page on Facebook. Yes, KLRN Radio has a Facebook page. Alright. And for those of you regular listeners, you know what's coming. And you can always shoot me an email at jessiespov@klrnradio.com. On that note, folks, yep, I'm out of here!